Wall Street Memes Casino,
I'm fine.
and Sportsbook.
This is KUGAN CASSIUS for IFLTV. I'm joined by correspondent Gareth A.Davies. Bonjour, Gareth.
It's a great Indian accent you've got there, yeah?
That's fucking French, mate, all right?
It's fucking French, mate, all right? It's the Francais. Hello, hello. Hello, hello. How are you? Yeah, je suis ici à Paris pour les Paralympics qui commence ce soir. The ceremony, the opening ceremony this evening, Place de la Concorde.
Are you just making that French up like Del Boy?
No, I'm not making up. Like, I'm not a Del Boy, remember? I've been all over the world with these Paralympics, by the way. It's my 8th Paralympic Games, going back to Atlanta in 1996. So I've been at all of them since then. It's always an amazing festival of sport. And I always equate the amazing characters here with loads of, nothing's mild here, but like a single amputee or an elbow amputee to the fighters that we cover day in, day out, because they've all got extraordinary spirits. And they always say one of the watchwords, or I always call it here at the Games, is like you're watching the triumph of the human spirit over and over again, like we see in the ring, like we see in the cage.
Yeah, no, I think it's fantastic.
I've got a big fan by me here, and not someone that wants my autograph, but a fan that keeps blowing my hair, by the way. Not that you would know.
Not that I would know at all. But no, I think it's great you're out there and giving exposure out in
Always.
Paris.
Always.
And I know you've always done that. So, yeah, fair play to you, Gareth. We're kind of closing out the month now. Boxing-wise, I'm kind of glad because it has been quite a quiet period over the last few weeks, especially. We spoke about the Riyadh card that was announced for the 12th of October recently, but there hasn't really been a lot happening in boxing. There's a couple of shows on this week. Matchroom have a show out in the US with Pacheco, and there's the Misfits card on in Dublin. But yeah, we're kind of getting to that point now where it's going to be full steam ahead very soon, Gareth.
Tuesday next week is Inoue against TJ Doheny in Japan, of course. That's one I'm really looking forward to.
Yep, that'll be on at some odd time over here, obviously coinciding with the timing over there. But yeah,
9 in the morning. 9 in the morning.
Yeah. But I mean, Inoue, you mentioned Inoue there. I should imagine top 3 to 4 in anyone's pound for pound list. Is he higher than that for you, or?
He's in the top 3. There's no question about it. 24 knockouts, I think it is, 27 victories, undefeated, four weight division world champion. Could even go up to 5th weight division to featherweight, in my view, if they pick the right opponent. But that's probably his limit. I can't see him going any further than that, if I'm honest. But he's an amazing, amazing fighter. And I think he'll stop Doheny. I think he'll be competitive for 5 or 6 rounds, and then I think he'll stop him.
That's next Tuesday. Thank you for that information. I wasn't aware that it was specifically next Tuesday, but
in the morning.
In the morning. Gareth, I wanted to kind of let you know some comments that Prince Nassim Hamed made to me. I'm putting this interview out. It was a short interview I did with him about 3 weeks ago. I'm putting this interview out later on today. He was really defensive of Tyson Fury and the criticism Tyson got after the Oleksandr Usyk loss. And basically he was saying that why is everyone forgetting Tyson Fury's whole career based on that one loss and kind of writing him off? Like, are we forgetting that he was the first person to dismantle Deontay Wilder?
And Klitschko.
Well, yeah, but he was making, yes, of course, he was the first one before even Anthony Joshua obviously had fought Klitschko a few years ago now. But he made reference to the Wilder fight where, in his opinion, Joshua didn't want to fight Wilder. Again, that's his opinion. That's not my opinion or your opinion. That was Naz's opinion. But he made a good point of why are people kind of, after Tyson suffering his first loss, almost kind of like, oh, well, that kind of attitude when he has a point in what he's saying about Tyson Fury, that we are actually forgetting that this guy has been heavyweight champion for quite some years. He's been undefeated all the ways through his career. But what do you think about those? I mean, I know you haven't seen it, Gareth, but I'm just kind of making comments on it.
I think it's a very good point made by Prince Nassim Hamid, because people always, way back in time, when Mike Tyson lost to Buster Douglas in Tokyo, when recently Joe Cordina, people talk about as being a busted flush because he had one terrible fight against Anthony Kakache when he's weight trained. Look what he did against, people are forgetting, Kanagawa and Rakimov. Those two brilliant performances against fighters who looked incredibly strong up to that point. People judge by a glass half full or half empty, and you can look on it in any way you want to do. Deontay Wilder was a wrecking ball when Tyson Fury first fought him back in 2018. That sequence of fights over three and a half years, the trilogy, cemented him as having one of the greatest trilogies in the history of the heavyweight division. When you look at, you can't judge someone on a single performance. We could judge, people were judging Daniel Dubois on the performance of Joe Joyce. Look where he is now. They were judging him on the performance against Joe Joyce and Kevin Lorena. Look where he is now after those fights with Oleksandr Usyk, Jarrell Miller, and Filip Hrgovic. You can't, one swallow does not a summer make either in the other way. You've got to judge people over the entire course of their career. And even you can take the Tyson Fury fight with Oleksandr Usyk up to the 7th round. We were sitting very close together, I've said it to you before, up to the 7th round in the fight between Tyson Fury and Oleksandr Usyk, just recapping there because I think the film froze, that Fury was dominating that fight. It's just that he hadn't worked out, like a lot of people haven't with Oleksandr Usyk, that he's a tremendous 12-round fighter. He's a tremendous finisher. Let's judge fighters on the basis of their entire achievements in their career. Tyson Fury is probably yet to face Anthony Joshua. He's fully capable of beating Oleksandr Usyk in a second fight. He knows what he's up against now. How fighters make adjustments after they've suffered a loss is really important. There's always that argument out there, who's got the better resume, Anthony Joshua or Tyson Fury? And you can argue the toss either way. But Joshua never faced Deontay Wilder in his prime, and never will probably now. And ironically, last weekend I was out in Washington and I was with Francis Ngannou and interviewed him. I don't know if you saw that interview, but I interviewed Francis, and he said he's nailed down he wants a fight with Deontay Wilder. And can you imagine if Francis gets that fight with Wilder, he will have fought Wilder, Fury, and Joshua. Wilder and Joshua will probably never face each other. And there's a chance that Joshua and Fury, and I hope this doesn't happen, that they may never fight each other. Everybody can have a bad day at the office. Everyone can have a bad night out. Everyone can make mistakes. So I think when you also become very rich and very famous and right up there on a pedestal, I think you've always got your haters out there, as we call it these days, people that want to critique you heavily. And I think those people are from that group that perhaps don't want Tyson Fury to succeed, as we found with Lennox Lewis, who I think is arguably the greatest heavyweight. I do think that's arguable. The longer time has been that he's been away, the more he'll be appreciated. And I think that'll happen with Tyson Fury when he stops eventually. Let's make the most of these people while they're around. I see people, I know that Saul Canelo Alvarez isn't readily fighting David Benavidez, and he does need to fight him before he, saddles up and leaves for the horizon and retires from the sport. But it's very important that he has that fight. But I see people judging Canelo like he's not incredibly special at the moment, and people are too happy to critique brilliance in a very, very negative way.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And just coming back to Tyson Fury, I think a lot of people seem to forget as well the circumstances in which Tyson Fury faced Wilder that first fight, which ended up in a somewhat controversial draw in some people's eyes, but he came off years of absence against two fights, off the back of two fights with Sefer and Pianetta. And people thought that Tyson Fury was mad to go into Wilder off the back of those two fights. But that was the start, obviously, of that trilogy. And people seem to forget that he went into the biggest fight of his career at that point, like with a lengthy layoff and against, no disrespect to Pianetta or Sefery, but kind of those kind of opponents. So, yeah, I think I was kind of, when Naz was saying it, and I'll put this video out later on, and he was quite passionate about what he was saying. I was like, you make a good point there. Like, why are people kind of quick to be dismissive of Tyson Fury after the career that 99.99% of people would never dream of?
Well, let's be honest. I mean, I was exactly the same when he was going into that Deontay Wilder fight in 2018, the Battle of Los Angeles. I remember saying to Ben Davis and to Tyson's team, I've got Wilder as the favourite here. I can't believe you're taking this fight against two guys who, let's be honest, are different level. The 10-stone weight loss, the fact he won the fight on most of our cards anyway. I know he was knocked down twice. The storyline, the losing 10 stone in weight, coming back from mental health issues. At the end of the day, that should have been one of the greatest sports stories of all time, because on most of our cards, he won the fight anyway. Coming back from the weight loss, the weight gain, the mental health issues in the wilderness, not being well. It's an extraordinary story. His performance that night was incredible. And it was mainly defensive, if you recall, till he'd been knocked down the second time. That incredible sporting moment when he rises after being hit by those right hand and the left hook. So it's an amazing story. And I think most of us really believe that he beat him 3 times. It was an amazing trilogy anyway. You can't take anything away from Tyson Fury. It's one of the great comeback stories in sports. And he is one of the great champions in heavyweight boxing. There's no two bones about it. Yes, he is a kind of divisive figure at times, and not everybody loves him, and he has mood swings, and you see that in the series they made about him on Netflix. You and I know, we've been around him many years, many years, from the very start of his pro career in 2008. I've been covering him, and he's not everybody's cup of tea, but he is definitely in that top echelon of boxing. Obviously, we're going to get the second fight with Usyk. He gets a chance to redeem himself. But I think that fight with Joshua, or even 2 fights, is one that we need in the boxing world, and we need for the British public to see.
Absolutely. Gareth, I know you're kind of in the middle of your...
I'm Paralympically invested at the moment.
I know. Just a couple of things, just before I do let you go. I think Frank Warren has made some comments that he'd like to see Moses Itauma in with
Joseph Parker.
I mean, what do you think about that? That's a bit of a wild move, isn't it?
Well, it's a wild move. It's a great fight for Moses Itauma to elevate him. But if he beats Joseph Parker, where does he go from there? He's only going to be able to fight the top 7, 8 in the world after that, because people aren't going to accept anything different. But also, if you're Joseph Parker, why do you want to face Moses Itauma now? Unless you're being paid a truckload of dollars. And if they can give him a truckload of dollars, they can probably make it happen. But it doesn't do anything for Joseph Parker to beat up a novice. But it does amazing things to step up Moses Itauma. It's probably a little bit too early. And I don't think that world title belt's going to be available before May 2025 for him to beat the Mike Tyson record. I think they're just saying, this is how confident we are in our boy that he can get the business done against someone who I'd say is number 4 or 5 in the world right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very bold move. But yeah, if the ambition is that from Frank Warren and Team Itauma, then fair play to him. Joseph Parker, especially at the moment, is on a high after his last 2 wins. So that is, it's not even really like similar to like when we were saying Jared Anderson and Martin Bakoli, that was a bold move from Team Anderson to take.
No, this is even bolder. This is even bolder.
Yeah.
But you know what? Be ready, be bold. This is what this sport's all about. If he is ready for it, they do have that fight. I'm happy to see it because I want to see Moses Itauma in the trenches. Is it too early? Maybe. Is it too early? Maybe not. We don't know, but it certainly ignited a lot of debate, and it got me thinking that Frank's all. When you go through the top 10 in the heavyweight division right now, you could easily see Moses on what we've seen from him with that beautiful speed and power from the southpaw stance, doing amazing things against some of the older guys in the division. But I think it's a little bit unfair on Joseph Parker for some reason. I'd much rather see him in with a Kabayel, or he's got to be on the cusp, because there was arguments that, you know, is he someone that deserves a world title shot right now? Probably does. Look what he's done against Wilder and who was it? And Zhang. Look what he's done against Wilder and Zhang. You've got props to the guy. Joseph Parker and Daniel Dubois have had the best year, 15 months, of anyone in boxing right now. So he deserves to bounce off that. But finding a readily available opponent for him is not easy, because you've got those four, Dubois, Joshua, Fury and Usyk, tied up. So, and Parker needs to be in action again soon, in my view. No,
I totally agree with that. Gareth, just finally, Wembley, we've seen HE, Turkey Al Sheikh, say that they're going to look to extend the capacity of Wembley to try and obviously topple the 94,000 that was present for Tyson Fury and Dillian White. I should imagine that probably will happen. So we're looking at a record-breaking Wembley Stadium fight night come September 21st.
Well, the Saudi Arabians, with their investment with the Riyadh season, obviously it's the Riyadh season Wembley Stadium edition, want to break records, and it's understandable. I mean, there's even been hints that they might go for a license that takes them later into the night and add a couple of fights to the card. But there was talk of that before. But obviously they'd have done that by now, I imagine. But it doesn't surprise me. It's going to be an incredible occasion. We've got a terrific main event in Anthony Joshua and Daniel Dubois. I'm sure it'll be a stadium full of the fans. I'm sure it'll be an absolutely jam-ram-packed stadium full of the fans. It's going to be an amazing night. It's an incredible card they've put together. Cannot wait for it. I'm really looking forward to Willie Hutchinson and Joshua Buatsi, by the way. And I've got to say, because I haven't had a chance to speak about it, I don't think, what a brilliant card they put together for October the 12th for the undercard as well. But maybe we'll talk about that next week or the week after.
Yeah, we touched on it, I think, the other day when it was announced.
We did, didn't we? Okay.
But we can relive that moment next week when you're home. You're looking forward to Oasis performing multiple dates. Are you an Oasis fan?
I'm not I really like Noel. I've interviewed him a few times. He's obviously a big fight fan. It's great to see the boys realigning, Liam and Noel. Always love to see internecine rivalry between siblings quashed. They're rock gods. There's no question about it. And as a rock fan myself, of course, I am a fan of theirs. They're iconic in British music, and it's going to be amazing to be there.
Absolutely. Rock/indie.
Rock/indie, baby.
Gareth, go and enjoy a croissant and a snail and a croque monsieur.
Mon ami. A bientôt, mon ami.
And we'll definitely catch up with you next week.
Do your picture.
Oh, hold on, yeah, wait there. This is give it a bit of the old French look, Gareth, so we can really kind of get to the score, Gareth. Give it the French look. Got it. Gareth A.Davies, thank you very much, and we'll catch up with you when you're back on home territory.
Lovely. Don't forget to watch the Paralympics on Channel 4, BBC, Telegraph coverage. To everyone watching, it's an amazing triumph for the Human Spirit Festival. It's like your fight fans watching this, but all these athletes at these games are like fighters themselves. They have the same human spirit. So make sure you catch up with it all during the games. We got an incredible Great Britain team of 215 athletes across 22 sports, I believe. And we'll be right up there in the top of the medal table with some incredible stories as well.
Thank you very much, Gareth. We'll catch up with you again soon.
Wall Street Memes Casino,
I'm fine.
and Sportsbook.